Morning, a report just released overnight shows more children living here in Michigan are living in poverty.
Not good news, and according to the annual Kids Count report, more than 500,000 children are now living in poverty. And joining us live right now is Gilda Jacobs, President and CEO of the Michigan League for Public Policy, the organization that conducted this search. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the increase in the child poverty rate in Michigan. This was over a 5-year period you looked at?
That's correct. It's actually increased pretty much all over the state. We see in the Wayne County area, the increase is 19%. Statewide, we're talking about 28%. This is obviously a huge red flag. You know, it tells legislators, tells the governor, we really need to do something to change those numbers.
Gilda, if you could define what constitutes poverty.
Well, for a family of 4 living in this area, we're talking about living below $23,000. That is not a lot of money. You have 2 parents, working parents, for example, who both be at a minimum wage. They cannot provide the resources they need to support their families. So, you know, we've got a lot of work to do here in Michigan. Not that we can't do it, but we have to set it up as a priority.
Well, let's talk about that. What can we do to turn these numbers around?
Well, there's actually a lot of different ways that we can look at this. First of all, we have to make sure that there are public systems, public structures that are in place. Now, last year we changed, the legislature changed the state earned income tax credit, which is a credit for hardworking families, from 20% of the federal earned income tax credit to 6% of the federal earned income tax credit. That took out hundreds of dollars out of the pockets of working families. We can restore, you know, all or a portion of the earned income tax credit in Michigan. It doesn't cost a lot of money to do it, but it makes an enormous difference. Michigan also was one of 3 states that actually reduced the number of weeks that a person could get unemployment insurance. We went down from 26 to 20 weeks. Remember, Michigan led the state, the country, I should say, being one of the first states in the recession, and yet we have a sort of a harsher program. There are huge health inequities, which are talked about in the report. You know, we know the Affordable Care Act actually, when it's implemented, will really help part of that. We know that there are a lot of teen homicides. We have to go and kind of figure that out. Pregnancy prevention, all those kinds of things, prevention type things will really change these numbers later on. We want to improve education opportunities. One of the things in the report talks about, and one of the good things is that there are more 4th graders who are more proficient at reading. That's great. Math scores didn't move as much. Part of it, part of the things that we have to do is invest in smaller classes. Really take a look at charter schools, magnet schools, schools of choice, and really go in and say, are these really working? And if they are, great. If they're not, we have to figure out what we have to do differently so that kids get a good educational foundation.
Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much. We can only tell the stories and see where our state can go from there.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right.